Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 890. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
I'm a little tired today, just so you know. My energy level is low.
Too much Solaris.
It's my birthday weekend. Thanks, everyone. Just assuming everyone said hello back to their...
That's very passive-aggressive of you, actually.
back into their...
Thanks, everyone.
Airport. And on my 18th birthday, just to give you an indication of how sad and lonely I was as a teenager. 18 is the drinking age in Alberta. And usually on people's 18th birthday, they go out drinking and stuff, and at the bars legally for the first time. And I was not into that lifestyle at the time, and I didn't have many friends, so I stayed at home, ate McDonald's, and watched 2001 for the first time ever.
I think you won
on my TV. I know. In retrospect, I did. It's still my favorite movie. And so we thought, you know what? 30 years hence, let's watch another ponderous space epic. And so we watched the original Russian Solaris last night as we record this. And it was interesting. It was no 2001, but it was interesting.
But what is?
Yeah,
it's a pretty high bar to clear, really.
I know. Yeah, you could tell the budget wasn't quite as high as they. Obviously, the Soviet budgets weren't quite what Hollywood could offer in the early 70s. So, but it was interesting enough. It was also 3 hours long, and I'm tired because of that now. So. There you go. There's my energy level. How are you two doing? This first.
I guess they won the Cold War then, didn't they?
I guess they did. You know, how you two doing? This first February, the first Sunday in February, which means that it's almost Gallifrey One time. How are you two cats holding in there?
I'm fine.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, I go to bed at 10 now, so I had a good night's sleep.
I don't do that. I never go to bed.
Supper at 4:00 with all the other aged people.
Yep. Damn straight. This is the great part about getting older.
I tell you what, I went to bed the night of the day before my Thursday. I think I might be just paying it for it from then still, because Age of Empires. Remember Age of Empires? You ever play that game?
Vaguely, yes.
On PC back in the day. Well, it's now.
Play the crap out of the second one. Yeah.
Oh, Age of Empires 2. Well, let me tell you, Chris, that version is now on Xbox, and I was excited, and then I thought, oh, that'll be kind of cool. Let's check it out. Anyway, I stayed up till 3:40 in the morning on Thursday night / Friday morning playing a stupid game of Age.
Then you got killed by the Hittites?
No, I didn't. I had to save the game. It was going on so long. No, I got to pause. Okay, maybe just with this one little thing. Okay, no. And so 3:40.
Is this on Game Pass? Is it?
Yes, it is. It is on Game Pass.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe I will check it out and probably see if it's my style or not.
I didn't think I would fall into it as much as I did, but I purposely did not play the game yesterday because I know that I would have been up until 8 a.m. I'd still be playing it right now as we record this, and it was no.
You're not lying, I'm sure.
Podcast canceled. I'm arranging a war with, as you say, the Hittites.
I was gonna say, the Hittites, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a fun game, fun times. What a time to be us these days. Where PC games that I played back in the late 90s are now on Xbox.
I mean, I'm no better off. I'm reasonably big into emulation stuff.
Oh, so yeah.
I'll sit and play, arcade games from the 80s through MAME and whatnot.
I'm seriously considering getting a Steam Deck, which allows me to play PC games and emulate the hell out of everything, including Apple II games. So that's a worthy use of my time and money, I'm sure.
Yeah, Warren, I don't know what a Steam Deck is. What is a Steam Deck for those that don't know?
It's a portable PC, essentially. It's like a Nintendo Switch, but for PC games, attached to the Steam gaming network store, I guess.
Right.
And I've got a bunch of Steam games from back in the day that I can just load right up on this thing, and there's tons of stuff out there. And now playing GTA Online portably, why the hell wouldn't you do that?
I suppose so.
And why wouldn't you want to play Lemonade and Epic's Winter Games from the Apple II days.
Exactly.
Epic's
or
Winter
Broadsword,
Games.
which is just basically hit button, chop guy. That's all it is.
The original Prince
Runner,
of
all
Persia.
that good old stuff. Ultimate One, just to be really annoyed with it.
Oh. I don't know any of those games because that predates my time in video games. But
Fair enough.
they're probably like 30. They're probably over 30 years old, like we are.
They're some of them possibly over 40 at this point.
Wow. Anyway, we're old, but time marches on as it does with this podcast. Gallifrey One is coming up in like a week and a half, by the way. I shouldn't alarm anyone, especially those of you who haven't like been on an airplane since the last Gallifrey One in 2020, because I know there's probably a fair amount of you actually who are going to Gallifrey One this time around. Might not have actually been traveling anywhere.
It's my first trip to the States in 3 years.
It's all tire fires, literal tire fires now, Warren, down there.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a great take by somebody saying conservatives think that we stumble through rubble and fight Antifa gangs to get a soy latte. That's how the big city life is.
That's not an exaggeration. If you've ever been to Fargo, North Dakota, that's a lie. I just mentioned a place that I went to in the summer. So next week is our Gallifrey One preview edition. For those new to the show, we do a preview edition for Gallifrey One every single year because we love it. And so that's going to be next week, along with the news and notes like that. But this week, it was announced Gallifrey One sold out. Convention is sold out. They capped it at 2,600 this year. In past years, it's been 3,300. But given how nice and kind of cozy that last year was with, I think 2,182, I think was the final tally of guests last year, which is a lot more than people were thought would happen given the COVID-19 global pandemic.
Which is still not over.
Still not over. It's never over. Let's face it. We're still in the 1918 pandemic, folks. Technically, we're still in it because there's the flu. You know the flu that happens every year? It's from 1918. It's just evolved a lot. So
so have we to fight it. So it's not millions of young people dying. As
that's
it was
true.
In 1918.
That's true. It's it reminds me of that line in New Earth when Rose, they go to like 5 billion or something like that, and there's a hospital for diseases and stuff, and Rose goes to the doctor. Wait, I thought we would just eradicated all the viruses. Oh, viruses evolved too. Thinking, oh, what a silly science fiction idea. Oh, right.
Well, here's the difference. They didn't have a flu vaccine. We now do have a flu vaccine.
Exactly.
So guess what, people? Vaccines work. What a surprise.
They do. They surely do. And you'll need one to get to Gallifrey One.
Exactly.
Which is perfect. Yep, sold out. As well as they also announced some other like autograph sessions are now on the schedule and all that, and moderators for discussion panels, all those sorts of things, all that. And there's some more signings. Ben Browder, who was in Doctor Who for crying out loud, but is more known for
a couple other things, yeah, but
for Farscape and stuff. But he's local to the area, so he's doing his signing there. I remember when Ben Browder was there. I remember him walking behind Saul Metzstein and I loudly in the hallway, and thus. Audio bombing, is that a thing? Audio bombing an interview I was doing with him at the time.
Did you turn around and say, "Hey, Browder, keep it down"?
Yeah, I did. Handsome man. He had a big mustache on at the time, just like
an actor is a handsome man. You don't say.
I know. Yeah, I had a presence to him, so he's there. So is Joe Flanagan and Elena Huffman. So there's some added signing guests, not in Doctor Who, but they're in L.A. Apart from Ben Browder, of course, who I said was in Doctor Who. So. But yep. Anyway, we'll do a full rundown of all the Gallifrey One stuff next week on the official Gallifrey. Seriously, I sometimes I say that as a joke, but we are the official podcast, so technically that counts as the official Gallifrey One preview show. So
that's the most Canadian intro I've ever heard to an official thing.
I know.
Don't mind us.
Official, comma, parentheses, lots of exclamation, close parentheses. So, yep. So there, Gallifrey One. Looking forward to it. The live show, by the way, is going to be packed. It's basically, I don't know if you've ever been to see the Crown Jewels at the Tower of London. You have. You're on like this really slow moving conveyor belt, so no one's like stuck looking at one thing at the time. This is basically how the guests are going to have to be treated on the live show because there's so many of them in such a short amount of time. They're just going to
like cattle,
just like very slowly be moving along, not too fast, but you know what? Like, oh, I guess we're moving a little bit here, aren't we? It says, yep.
If I recall correctly, at the Tower of London, that movator goes a little quicker when you get to the big deal Queen's jewels. They're like, all right, you've seen it, get out.
Oh, I didn't remember that. Oh.
Well, it's only around those ones. Like, there's lots of stuff you can look at that isn't on the moving sidewalk thing.
What's great about the Tower of London, if I'm thinking of the right place, is that you can also at the bottom levels you go to these open windows that are basically outhouses, and then you go up and see the crown jewels, which are worth probably millions and millions of dollars. You're like, the cosmic ballet marches on.
Yeah, I forgot, Warren, you were with me when we went to the
yes, that's true.
It's on that same trip in 2015. Yeah, that we went to go see the Tower of London, as seen in Doctor Who, and nothing else.
Yes, one of the tour guides whipped out a sonic screwdriver, which was very nice of him.
He did. Yeah, he did.
Not
indeed.
metaphor. He actually whipped out a sonic screwdriver.
Actually had a sonic screwdriver on him while at work. He was fired immediately afterwards. He was not allowed to have that on his person.
Violating canon.
Yep. And policy. It's kind of like Disneyland. You know, you can't take your mask off when you're a mascot at Disneyland. Well, if you're working at the Tower of London, you cannot take out your sonic screwdriver toy.
One of the robotic ravens murdered him in front of us.
Yeah, it was kind of nasty but interesting at the same time for scientific purposes.
Okay.
I wonder what kind of sonic screwdriver David Tennant's going to have. Is he going to get a new one?
It better not be the same one.
Well, he's
not be the same one.
Well, I mean, he's going to be there for 3 episodes. You bother like making a whole new prop? Did the sonic screwdriver regenerate with his clothes at the end of the Power of the Doctor?
I was just about to ask the same thing. I really hope not.
No. Is he just going to find it lying around the TARDIS or something like that? Who knows?
The thing is, I don't know if we're going to see the TARDIS. I would be surprised if we see the TARDIS for his episodes because there's that whole thing where the comics are the story before, which are apparently official, according to Russell T Davies. So, and I don't remember if he's in the TARDIS for that, maybe. But I would be surprised if they don't use that as a way to kind of work around. He just pops out of the TARDIS and here he is. Yeah,
because you don't want... so the most recent... issue of Doctor Who magazine came out, and there's an interview with Joel Collins, who's one of the executive producers, actually has a background in production design. He was a production designer on the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie from 2005.
Oh, cool.
Amongst other things, and now he's gone from, like most E-prods go from like the writing background to become executive producers. He went from the more of the technical side. And so he was sort of like, getting people's opinions on the new TARDIS set, which sneaky pics leaked online a little while ago, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And apparently it's an impossible, crazy design. I thought, well, this is impossible to do, but this is, it's pretty cool though. We got to make it happen, so it might happen. And I don't think you show that if it's going to be Shooty Got was.
No, you don't want to upstage his big thing,
right? So, yeah. So I think you might be right, Warren. I think it's basically we're going to be console room free, or just Jodie Whittaker's old. No, not even that, because they would have torn that down.
Because it's torn down, yeah. Get ready for a lot of complaining online about that. I can't believe they robbed us from this. Just wait a month.
Yeah.
There you go. There's your preview.
Because they filmed it at an entirely different studio, and they weren't going to haul the set all the way across there just to do 3 shots or something like that. But incidentally, I should mention, speaking of the old studio in Roath Loch, somebody bought up a bunch of old props and stuff, including like TARDIS roundels from the Whittaker era and other things from like that era, and dating back as far back as Peter Capaldi's last series, and is selling them on eBay. All these little bits. We had a look through them yesterday, and it was like there's prop lights, a little hanging thing, and they're like ludicrous, like really expensive. Like a little hexagon roundel from the Whittaker is like £5,000. Like it's madness. Wow. Yeah, it's a lot.
I said elsewhere that I think that the 2 phones used in Sound of Drums should be put in a museum under great ships of our time.
I don't know. Can you get those? Were those in the lot?
Probably. There was a picture of a bunch of phones. Presumably they're in there somewhere.
Right. Could be. Anyway, TARDIS said that's one of the things that's mentioned in the Doctor Who magazine. Radio Times is of course having a field day, posting stuff in there as entire articles. I don't remember which as one of the things they talked about. It's what did they talk about? Was it the TARDIS set? Was there other things in there, Chris, that I'm blanking on that they mentioned in there that they turned into an article? Do you know
in
what I'm
DWM or?
Yeah, no, yeah, in DWM, because that's usually where
I've not read it. My subscription has lapsed.
Oh, well, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. That might be the one I'm thinking of. But what they did talk about though was not in DWM. It was Russell T Davies was at some other thing. He spoke with the Times, which is behind a paywall. So thank you, Radio Times, for pilfering that, because Russell T Davies is doing a lot of press these days for his new ITV show Nolly. Starring Helena Bonham Carter, and he mentioned in this article, because everyone always asks him about Doctor Who, of course, is that he's hoping that perhaps one day all of the classic series of Doctor Who can be on BBC iPlayer, because right now it's on BritBox in the UK and indeed elsewhere around the world as well. And here's his quote: "You make all the backlog catalog available because it's for people to get into it. I can't swear that will happen, but there are contracts. It's our heritage. It deserves to be there so kids can fall in love with Doctor Who like they love Friends." This reminds me of when someone asked online about BritBox, because there was like rumors about like all the classic Who disappearing from BritBox in early this year, and they replied back, "Oh no, we still have contracts, hopefully for past this next year, but we'll see." It was kind of like non-committal and stuff. So maybe this is what Russell T Davies was alluding to. But it would be kind of cool to finally have all of classic Who and all of modern Who on the same actual service. On
a personal level, the moment has been prepared for. Let's put it that way, just in case it vanishes.
Well, this is why I buy Solaris on Blu-ray instead of
good point.
Not having it relying on some streaming service or something like that. But
it's going to get even worse too, because these streaming services realize they're not going to make all that much money unless they license it out to everybody else. So you're going to be jumping around God knows how many different services for this. Or TV. They might actually license out their shows to television. Yeah,
this is why we wouldn't like Netflix is considering what if we took stuff off that we made off of Netflix. Yeah. And like sold it to like, I don't know, a TV station for like a year or something like that.
Remember those heady days where people were like, you don't need act breaks anymore. You can make it any way it needs to be. Oh, I guess not.
No.
I guess not.
The recreation of cable begins again. It's
well, whatever.
Pretty sad. You see what? This is Warren. This is why I only watch Doctor Who and shows that feature people who were in Doctor Who, because
it's not the only reason. Sheer bloody mindedness is the main one. Let's be honest here.
That too. It's tough to keep track of some shows all the time. So anyway, so there, exciting. That'd be neat. I don't know what that would mean for BritBox outside of the UK, if they would still hang on to classic Doctor Who when these if and when these contracts lapse and stuff. There's still no modern home for a home for modern Doctor Who, rather. It left Crave on January 6th, and where do you find modern Doctor Who now?
I mean, does Disney become the home of all Doctor Who then?
Probably not classic Who, no. Well, I mean,
no, they do have Zorro, but they own that, so.
Zorro.
They don't have that. I mean, I guess they got a lot of old movies on there too, so.
Right. I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if they can air like the Muppet Show, which
they also own.
They also own, but I'm just thinking of quality wise. It doesn't look like you're starting a Marvel show
where every Spider-Man in the world is on there except the best one. Where's 1967 Spider-Man? Damn it! Why is it on Disney Plus?
I agree. It
can't be worth that much. The rights are probably $2 and a banana peel. Come on, let's just get this damn thing.
I know.
Yeah, it's the package deal with Rocket Robin Hood that nobody wants to.
There's probably some insane rights thing to do with it, and you're probably right, Chris. It probably is. Can you imagine if you had to show Rocket Robin Hood on Disney, thus utterly tarnishing the brand? Well, that's the only way you get 67 Spider-Man on there. I mean, I would.
Back in the day when DS9 first came about, because it was in syndication, but any channel that wanted to show it also had to buy the Untouchables. There's a
The
package.
TV
There's an
show
all or nothing
Untouchables or the
package deal.
movie?
The old
show.
the old show starring Robert Stack.
Oh, I
Wow.
forgot that existed. Yeah,
Not the Robert Stack one. No, the I forget.
there was a remake, I assume. Yeah,
Tom something.
I don't remember.
I'm gonna look it up, but
Oh.
But anyway, back to denigrating Disney Plus with cartoons.
Rocket Robin Hood. Oh, we've mentioned that show in the past. We were surprised to learn that it was mostly in Canada and not elsewhere and stuff. Although some people do remember it, and it amuses me.
Tom Amandes as Elliot Ness, William Forsythe as Al Capone.
And what year was
I
this
remember
from?
William Forsythe being a big deal as Al Capone. Yeah.
Oh, wasn't he in Dynasty, or as the Brits call it, Dynasty? Is that the
No,
one?
no,
I'm
no.
thinking
That's John Forsythe. William Forsythe is in a bunch of Coen Brothers stuff, including
He's in a bunch of everything, but yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's in Dick Tracy as I can't remember his name, but he's one of the main villains.
And what about Bruce Forsyth? Or Bruce Forsyth? What was he in?
He was
he was
flat
in
top
Britain.
in Dick Tracy.
I really now I want to see Bruce Forsythe as Flat Top and Dick Tracy. Tracy, this is your life. I'm totally getting that wrong. Sorry,
That was wrong. He did not do This Is Your Life. Somebody else did This Is Your Life. Don't add us. We know who it was. It wasn't him. He was the host of game shows. And
I don't
stuff.
know who it was, and I don't care, so don't add me anyway.
Exactly. Hey, if you're into the Mrah business stuff, by the way, there's a Deadline article in the show notes that has an interview with who is it? Tim Davie of BBC Studios. He's a BBC director general, which sounds like he's like the head of a Banana Republic or something like that.
Yeah, please tell me his jacket has epaulettes.
Yeah, which someone might call BBC Studios anyway.
There's a bandolier.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of business speak in that article. I was like skimming through it, thinking I actually don't know what it's about, but it's in Deadline, and that's a pretty notable rag. And they're talking all about Doctor Who and Disney Plus in there. So if you want to read about Mrah business, as coined by Warren famously, it's
Yes. As I said off mic, Deadline is like the Mirror. Annoying but accurate.
Are they that? I thought they're a little more reputable than the Mirror, because they're more of an industry
they're
rag,
not
right?
trash magnets, but they're
Right.
kind of like you read it first in Deadline, so they can rush to things. It's not like the Hollywood Reporter and Variety will probably look at that headline a little more thoroughly before they put it up, and Deadline won't. But Deadline's usually right, so there's probably something to it there too.
I gotcha. Yeah, they're not exactly breaking news. They're just sort of like offering some details and stuff around. And stuff, but what I should point out, though, as you say, they sometimes rush to get it there wrong. There's one particular paragraph where it says the show's budget is believed to be increasing from around $3 million per episode to £10 million per episode, and that has
$3 million per episode. Sure, yeah,
that has been roundly refuted by Russell T Davies in Doctor Who magazine itself. So,
and when was a 3 to begin with? Like that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I don't know. Has it ever been 3? It might be 3 now. I mean, that'd be 3.
But yeah, that wouldn't surprise me.
But certainly
Not that I'm privy to the spreadsheets here, but I mean, 3 million sounds like a lot for, say, Can You Hear Me, for instance.
Yeah. Frog on a Chair. That Frog on a Chair cost £2 million to do.
You could not believe how much a frog puppet cost.
$2 million. Elsewhere in Doctor Who magazine, by the way, it was revealed in the production notes. Scott Hancock has a little rundown of what he's been up to all month, and they revealed in there that the director of Block 3 is one Julianne Robinson. Julianne Robinson has directed many things on both sides of the Atlantic. I looked at her career on Wikipedia. It says, she's only been directing since 1998. That was 25 years ago. 1998 is 25 years ago, folks. So she's a veteran in the directing. She's directed stuff like The Good Place, for crying out loud, and Orange is the New Black, Grace and Frankie, Selfie, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Parks and Rec, and then she's also directed a whole bunch of stuff in the UK as well. So, including Blackpool, starring David Tennant and David Morrissey.
So what you're saying is that there's going to be a mockumentary episode of Doctor Who, your favorite format.
Oh my God, I hate mockumentary shows so much. It's so tired. I can't stand it anymore. It's been done. It's been done to perfection twice in The Office, the original Office, and Spinal Tap. Stop doing it. It's no fun anymore.
So you don't want the Doctor Who Abbott Elementary crossover that we all
don't.
hope for?
I don't. Oh.
Wow, Chris, that is throwing a steak at, well, I guess not a vegetarian. But.
Oh, it's a big vegetarian. I know. I don't want to speak too ill of it because it won awards and
It was a cauliflower steak, I think, Warren.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
Erica seems to like it, but it annoyed me so much because it's under the pretext that there's cameras following these people all around, and there was a scene in an episode where a kid has locked himself in a closet, right, with a bunch of Halloween sweets. And the kid's on the outside knocking on the door, and he opens the door, and then the camera cuts to a camera in the closet. So was there a cameraman who was hiding in the closet with this kid the whole time? No, because this
reminds me. Two things.
Right.
One, you hate it because it's new. And second, I didn't watch What We Watch in the Shadows, which is a great show, for years because you told me it was terrible because of mockumentaries. So
that's why I bounced right off it. I'm so tired of that format.
It is actually excellent.
I don't like it. I don't like it because of the mockumentary
Matt Berry is in
format.
it. Come on.
I know, but he's wasted in it. The episode I saw, I was like, well, he's
absolutely not. I'm not going to get in this argument. Whatever. No. You're wrong. The end.
I'm tired of, you know what? This is the larger rant when it comes to comedy these days. I find I just like Marge preventing Bart from reading High and Lois. I just don't think it's funny, or is it Hagar the Horrible? I can't remember. But American comedies have been striving and struggling for the past 20 odd years to replace the laugh track with something else to tell you that things are funny. And there are two shows that Erica watches. I've never talked to her about this, so she's hearing this for the first time from me on this podcast. But the one of them is the mockumentary format. There was the first episode of Abbott Elementary that she was watching. There's literally a scene where like they cut to a person looking straight at the camera going, "Rrr," and you could almost hear the slide whistle sound effect. You know, it was just like, oh, okay. And the second one is the American version of Ghosts. And like through a whole bunch of scenes, it's like there's all these little pinky punky music. This is funny. You should be laughing at this scene. Okay. Always there. And they just
You're not wrong.
Just film it in front of a live studio audience already.
You're not wrong.
All right.
But also, these are the complaints, bearing in mind your birthday and the fact I'm older than you. These are complaints of an old person. Why don't they bring back laugh tracks? No. You know which millennial cares about that? Or Gen Z? Nobody. Not one. No. To them, it's ancient history. And
No. The funny thing is that it's, don't bring black. That's the worst thing to do. But I think they're still being edited, these shows, to include a beat. You know, or with the music to tell you that it's funny, which kind of reminded me of like the early scenes of The Runaway Bride when like Donna Noble and the Doctor are like in the TARDIS and there's all this jaunty music thing. Yeah. I hope that doesn't come back with Russell T Davies' second incarnation of Doctor Who. I don't need music to tell me things are funny. Please don't.
Like I said, you're not wrong, but also we're old and complaining about things.
I suppose. Anyway, Julianne Robinson, I'm sure you directed some of this stuff, but I was probably great.
Wow. Yeah, you really torpedoed yourself for that.
I know. I'm sure your Doctor Who will be great too. She's directing Block 3. I don't know what episodes those are. Dylan, who is it? Dylan Holmes Williams. I know it's two a script editor and a producer, and I kept wanting to call him Dylan Holmes Hinchcliffe, but I think it's Dylan Holmes Williams. Directed the first block, which are actually episodes 4 and 5. Mark Tonderai directed the second block, which I think are episodes 1 and 2. And so Julianne Robinson is directing block 3, but I don't know which episodes those are. So there you go. What a roundabout way to land on that. Feel free to send me in your comments about why I'm wrong about current comedies being funnier than I think they are.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Also from Doctor Who Magazine, February 16th, which is a Thursday right before Gallifrey One, Doctor Who Chronicles number 7, chronicling the year 1988, the 25th anniversary year of Doctor Who. Will be available. You can pre-order it now or just wait for it to show up on Pocket Mags, which is what I'm going to do because I buy all those things on Pocket Mags. So there you go. And what else we got here? Some audio stuff. Let's talk about some audio CDs and stuff that are coming out, because remember the Target novelizations for 5 new stories are coming out on July 13th, and 3 of them have showed up as audio CDs already on Amazon.co.uk. Planet of the Ood, The Waters of Mars, written by friend of the show Phil Ford, and Kerblam! By Pete McTighe. All those are showing up on that. And so let's close out this rambly news episode. Do we have news this week? Yes, a little bit of banter, mostly banter, and business stuff.
Mrah
business with the Timelash, because that's what we do on this show. February 5th, we're starting with.
Yeah, speaking of 1988, you got Greatest Show in the Galaxy author Stephen Wyatt being born that day.
Happy birthday, Stephen Wyatt. Moderated a panel with him at Gallifrey One. Was it 3 years ago? Was that the one? It was the big Greatest Show in the Galaxy panel. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember which one that was.
4.
Yeah.
I just have distinct memories of him not holding a microphone anywhere close enough to his mouth when he was on our live show.
Microphone placement.
Vengeance.
Microphone placement on the live stage is a thing, that's for sure. So happy birthday, Stephen Wyatt. What else? Oh, this is exciting. 1974, February 5th, 74. Head of Serials Bill Slater receives a letter from an actor named Tom Baker, which prompts him to recommend Baker as a candidate to play the Fourth Doctor.
That's crazy. Like, that is not what would happen today.
What piece of blackmail must have been enclosed in that letter?
What was in the letter? Yeah. Good point, Chris.
Because I think this happened quick. Like, as we get through this, like maybe next week we'll find out about this. I can't remember the timeline, but like literally within a week, he's thinking, yeah, he looks pretty good. Let's get him. He's the Doctor now. Okay. Clear it with your previous employer, the building site you're currently working on, and come in and be this, life-changing role on TV. Sure. Quite a story, Tom Baker's rise to be Doctor Who. And it all started. What's that?
1966. I misread the debut broadcast of The Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Episode 1, War of God, as the War on God, which I want to see. I want to see a war on a deity with a 1960s Doctor Who budget.
Oh, man, War on God. Goodness. Imagine an episode called that going out on the BBC in 1966.
It would not go well in any way, shape, or form.
Mildly surprised that actually God made its way into an episode title at all, because the original...
That's a good point, yeah.
Original title of Face of Evil is The Day God Went Mad, and I thought, this is too blasphemous. We can't call it that, so we'll call it The Face of Evil instead. And but here we are, in one of the most depressing Doctor Who stories ever made, The Massacre, and we're going to call it War of God. I mean, if we're going to offend people, let's just offend everyone,
Let's go for the gusto. Come on.
Yeah. 1985. Have we mentioned this episode in the past before? I can't remember if we did or not.
Think so.
Michael Feeney Callan is commissioned to write The Children of January. That never went anywhere.
Eventually canceled because they shortened the season it was going to be in.
Yeah. Old season 23.
That was a lot.
As I said, everybody hates January. Why are you doing this?
Yeah, Children of January. For some reason, that sounds like a Blake 7 episode. I don't know why.
Yeah,
Children of Auron. That's probably why.
Or TNG title, maybe.
Very much so.
Oh, yeah, probably a buried in season 2 halfway through, like Wesley gets us up to some shenanigans or something. And
one of those crappy ones with Dr. Pulaski.
Pulaski. You know what? You think about Star Trek The Next Generation, and it's all expensive and stuff. There are some really cheap episodes of that show that you could, because they had standing sets. They had the costumes are always the same. They had mostly stock shots for all the ships and stuff, and they just changed the backgrounds up a little bit. You could make an episode in 8 days and basically only pay the cast and crew and not actually pay for anything else in that show.
Nostalgia fogs up the fact this is the second kick of the can other than the movies. And it was syndicated. It wasn't on a network or anything.
No.
So yeah, they were gonna cut corners. They did a good job of cutting corners.
They did.
I don't know if you need 10 million an episode for Discovery. Right. I'm just saying.
Oh no, just saying.
Make everything cheap again. Come on.
Does Discovery cost $10 million an episode?
This could be peak TV fluff, but I think I remember reading that somewhere. Yeah.
Oh wow, God, that's way too much money. Way too much money. Oh boy, the bubble's going to burst. Hopefully Doctor Who is still standing at the end of all this once Disney regrets signing this deal. But
Paramount Plus I don't think it's doing all that great. So except they got all that sweet Yellowstone money, so maybe not. So maybe they will start scaling back on Star Trek and making it better.
Wikipedia says 8 to 8.5 million per episode for
My
Discovery.
God. What the hell? And they shoot it in Canada for cheapness too. Like it's like 70 cents on the dollar now for Canadian. Wow.
In Toronto.
Toronto, home of Star Trek. Let's move on. February 6th. What happened February 6th? The Romans! Episode 4, Inferno. The historically accurate episode 4 of The Romans aired on this day in history. 1965. Not in London. There you go. That's the thing that happened. What else happened? Anything else jumping out yet on February 6th?
1979. Photo call is held to introduce Lalla Ward as the second incarnation of Romana.
The traitor.
I wonder how they explain that to people. It's like, wait a minute, she's regenerating now too? What the hell's going on here?
And Stephen and all the Mary Tam stands just had a fit.
I was very upset. I mean, not that day. I didn't know that was going on in 1979, but I was barely 4 years old. But yep, opening minutes of Destiny of the Daleks, I was quite upset.
Well, they should change everything then.
I know.
1981?
Yep. What happened in 1981, Chris?
Christopher Priest is commissioned to write The Enemy Within, which is planned to culminate in the death of Adric.
Wow. And
so The Enemy Within is also colloquially used as the TV movie secondary title.
Not so much anymore. I remember it was sort of like bandied about a lot, but I haven't heard people call it that for many a year now.
I just have this. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the TV movie. What do you got, Warren?
I just have this vision of John Nathan Turner behind a desk, darkly lit like The Godfather, and he just turns around in his chair and faces whoever he's talking to and goes, "We have one mission this season, to kill Adric."
No, just like...
and then there's like dramatic music.
Send me your best ideas to kill Adric, and like they get like 17 different scripts in where Adric dies at the end, you
People
know?
who didn't even know this is a thing, just randomly sending scripts to kill Adric.
Yeah, did Christopher Priest know? Like, oh, by the way, I've killed Adric. Is that a thing? You know what? Now you mention it. Now that you mention it, Christopher Priest.
Apparently the story had something to do with a monster at the heart of the TARDIS, which embodies the Doctor's deepest fears. The story featured characters called Time Rights, WRIGHTS.
Wow.
And ended with Adric's demise, so kind of reminds me of Journey to the Center of the TARDIS a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. I want to say that Christopher Priest's name was on that big whiteboard that J&T had up in his office in that Making of Doctor Who book in the early 80s or something too. Like they had, Christopher Priest up there because he's a noted sci-fi author apparently, but I don't know anything about him because he never wrote for Doctor Who, so he might as well have written the original version of Solaris for as all I care.
He also had a drawing of Adric with little X's in his eyes. Oh, that means nothing. Pay no attention to that.
Speaking of writing, I'm going to jump us ahead to 1985.
You betcha you are.
Robert Holmes commissioned to write all 3 episodes of Yellow Fever and How to Cure It.
Oh, man. One of history's greatest losses. We never got Yellow Fever and How to Cure It.
Is it, though?
He must have not got very far because we are... Obviously, because, February, we're coming close up to the hiatus here being made public and stuff. And obviously... J&T had no clue about it because he's handing out 3-episode contracts for Robert Holmes. Because I don't think he ever got anywhere past actual writing it. I think he just sort of he got about as far writing these 3 episodes as J&T and Gary Downey did scouting locations for it on a streetcar in Singapore in 1984. So yeah, didn't get that far.
I mean, it was meant to include the Rani and Autons, which, I mean, we had the Master and Autons and Terror of the Autons.
I think the Master would have been in this too. The Master
that would have been a nice combination to see the Rani with the Autons.
Yeah. God, that would have been a massive production. The Rani, the Master, Autons in Singapore. Mm-hmm. Obviously, would have got a cheap deal. There's got to be some Commonwealth deal that they could sort of like get things on the cheap to fly to Singapore to shoot a Doctor Who
Singapore is not part of the Commonwealth. What are you talking about?
Is it not? Was it not part of the Commonwealth?
I'm pretty sure it's its own independent country.
Well, it's a city-state of some sort, but I thought it's a Commonwealth thing too. I could be wrong about that.
I could be wrong about that, but I don't think so.
Chris, find out if Singapore is part of the Commonwealth, and we'll move on shortly. because Chris does the Googling usually when we talk about these things.
Here's the other thing. That whole Singapore thing was just an excuse to go to Singapore, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Singapore joined the Commonwealth in October 1965.
All right. I'm wrong. Never mind.
Warren, I know my Commonwealth countries, all right?
All right.
All right. Thank you very much. Which means that they're, a former colony. They were oppressed by the British Empire at some point. So that makes them a member of the Commonwealth.
Weren't we all?
Yep, absolutely. Moving on, February 7th, they were shooting Marco Polo, they were shooting Fury from the Deep, they were shooting Seeds of Death, all in various different years. They were recording the Space Pirates at Ealing Film Studios, February 7th, 69. They possibly were shooting the main cast scenes for episode 6, an episode which none of the main cast actually appear in the studio for because they're off shooting location stuff for the War Games. All that happened. What a day already. So there.
It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Anything else jump out at you on February 7th?
In 1979, Bob Baker commissioned to write Nightmare of Eden.
Whoa, the best story.
1979.
What do you spot from 79, Warren?
John Lloyd grants permission to Alan Pryor to continue developing the Doomsday Contract.
Oh, we talked about that a couple weeks ago, didn't we, on this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just a good title.
The Doomsday Contract, which came out on Big Finish. Big Finish did a version of that, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
Was that the one that Graham Kibble White did the animation for, and included Radio Free Skaro on it as a little thing there because it was John Lloyd thing, and so they're doing a Hitchhiker's Guide tie-in. Is that the one I'm thinking of? Could have been.
I don't think so.
No.
Remember the animation?
I think that predated this.
Story.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Big Finish one came out in March 2021, written by Nev Fountain.
Good old Nev Fountain.
Mr. Perpigillion Brown.
That's right. That is right.
I'm sure he loves being addressed as that, yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you if you were him?
I mean, I would, but that doesn't mean he does.
Moving on. Sadly, 2014, Christopher Barry died. Director of several different Doctor Who stories throughout the 70s, 60s, 70s. Also directed Tripods, of course. But I just remember thinking of this, that Ian Levine made some awful comment. No, he'll never live to see Power of the Daleks. Because he just assumed he assumed that Phil Morris was hanging on to all 6 episodes of Power of the Daleks, and it was just waiting for Christopher Barry to die or something like that before he revealed them. Well, we're 9 years later now, folks. We still haven't got Power of the Daleks. So,
and as a side note, RFS 632 and 633 for our miniscope on Christopher Barry.
Nice work. Oh,
nicely done.
That is brand reference right there. Look at that. That's like a hyperlink in our own episode. Look at that. Just like, oh, you might be interested in this, and then we just tell you 3 different episodes when we might have talked about this stuff.
I don't know sports, but there's definitely a sports role for this in football. Like when another guy's giving the color commentary. Am I getting that right? I don't know.
No, Warren, you're entirely wrong.
Completely wrong.
Yeah.
But a guy with interesting facts that go along with the play happening.
Color commentator?
Yeah, sure.
Sometimes they're not very interesting. They just say, that was unbelievable. Thanks, sir. Commentator. Let's move on. February 8th, the debut broadcast of Inside the Spaceship, Episode 1, commonly known as The Edge of Destruction. Did you notice, by the way, that the Doctor Who magazine is putting out their 60th anniversary poll where you can rate all of your the episodes, and they're still trying to hammer in that the second story is called The Mutants and not the Daleks, and the third story is called Inside the Spaceship and not The Edge of Destruction. I mean,
that poll won't be divisive at all. It won't cause any problems.
No.
I can't see that it causing any sort of hullabaloo.
No,
I don't think it necessarily matters what they're called, as long as people know what they're talking about.
Well, if they're the right kind of fan, they do.
You gotta call. I call it the Massacre, by the way. I don't call it the Massacre of St. Bartholomew's Eve.
Yeah, exactly. So whether you call it Inside the Spaceship or The Edge of Destruction, I mean, as long as you know what is being described, does it matter?
They do know
called?
what it's from, I hope.
Yes. Although, honestly, serial codes don't lie. If you just call it by the production code.
Come on.
There's no argument.
The mutants might be a different kettle of fish because there's the Pertwee story called The Mutants.
Exactly.
But
To call it Serial B. What do you want, Serial B? Which is your favorite dog story? The first one? You mean Serial B? Yeah, that one. Yeah. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh, please.
That's how you get uninvited from parties, Stephen.
I just uninvited him into the head.
This, incidentally, is why I spent my 18th birthday alone in my bedroom watching 2001.
It's one of many reasons.
Space Odyssey. Just so you know. But listen, it's one of the great movies. Maybe I wouldn't have watched it if I was going to be out drinking at some bush party on my 18th birthday.
Ugh, bush party. I said Edmonton flashbacks. No, thank you.
Oh, yeah. I knew that. I knew I was striking something there.
I've been triggered.
Yeah. What have we got here? Anything else jumping to you? February 8th there that happened this day in history?
1983. Mark Strickson decides to leave.
Yeah, having decided
to leave. And then signs a 20-episode contract.
Yeah.
Yeah, depending on how you reid that, you're like, it's like, oh, I'm going to leave. Well, here's 20 episodes. What do you think of that, Mark Strickson?
Yeah.
Oh, damn it.
I know. Yeah. I was just watching, and we might come across it here very soon. I was watching Sake Dance in my daily Doctor Who watch, and in the
story.
It's story. No, each episodes because we're watching one a day, of course. And the production notes say that like on February, it might be February 12th. It's sometime soon in history. Peter Davis is basically asked, so do you want to do season 3? And then at that point we have like either the BBC or Peter Davison has an option to do a 4th season, and he says, no, I'm just doing 3. So like 82, he's barely on screen already as Doctor Who, and he's already thinking, yep, I'm out. It's astounding, you know.
Pulling an Eccleston.
Well, a little bit, you know. Like I wonder if this always happens. Like, you know, did Matt Smith know beforehand? Yeah, I'm doing 3, and then I'm out. And did he know when he signed that first contract that he was only going to do 3 seasons?
Or did they discover what a grind it is and go, oh God, what am I doing?
Yeah, I don't know when they make that decision.
Tom Baker has the constitution of a horse. So, I mean, of several horses, actually. So maybe that's why he lasted 7 seasons.
Yeah, just the unwillingness to leave as well. Yeah. Anyway, I thought that was interesting. Modern Undead episode 3. I'm almost day and date with when Modern Undead was airing, because I'm watching, as we speak, episode 2 tonight on this Saturday, and 3 is tomorrow. So I almost caught an anniversary of a broadcast, but not quite. Let's see. What else we got here? Anything else on the 8th that strikes your fancy?
Hell of a lot of recording.
A lot of recordings of modern series stuff. But we like talking about the behind-the-scenes news and stuff like that, which is always fun. So we move on. February 9th. Happy birthday. 2 different Doctor Who directors. Morris Barry, born in 1918, and Michael Imeson, who directed The Ark. One and only Doctor Who story, The Ark, back in 1966. There you go. Anything jumping out at you? Happy birthday, Neil Cross, too.
Birth of Neil Cross, writer of The Rings of Octa.
Oh, and Hyde. His first one that he did was Hyde.
I just bring up Rings of Octa just to rub it in for you.
It's a bad story. Don't like that one at all. Bad episode of Doctor Who, in my opinion. Anything jumping out at you in February 9th?
1976, really. Douglas Camfield submitted his script for The Lost Legion. Robert Holmes didn't like it. And I like the way this is phrased. Robert Holmes becomes unhappy with the serial and grooms the Hand of Fear as his replacement. What the hell does that mean?
Well, does he rewrite it or something?
Yeah, well, the Hand of Fear was originally a 6-part story, I think, intended to be what eventually became, ironically, The Seeds of Doom, which is directed by Douglas Camfield. And so I think they had that in mind for the last story, but they put in that in as the second story in the next season, because Sarah Jane Smith at that point had said, oh, wait, you're going to shoot an episode in Renaissance Italy? Yeah, sign me up for a couple more stories. And this is actually, it's not Italy, it's Wales, but we already got your name on the contract, Liz Sladen. So guess what? You're going to Wales. Yeah. So there's a whole bunch of rigmarole that went around there. 1981. Yeah, what do you got?
The Lost Legion was originally going to introduce Drax.
That's right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Or the Hand of Fear was going to introduce Drax, whatever.
Hand of Fear was going to have Drax. So
how are you going to shoehorn Drax into Hand of Fear?
Oh, you'll find a way. You'll find a way, Warren.
I suppose.
Always find a way. 1981, Terrence Dudley is commissioned to write Black Orchid. Yep. Love Black Orchid.
I know you do. You really, really do.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
It's just kind of there as far as I'm concerned. It's like the All Creatures Great and Small episode of Doctor Who.
Kind of is, isn't it? Yeah. If that was about murder mysteries and stuff. Anyway, did he write the novelization? I can't remember, but it was the first Target novelization
Yeah, he did.
He did, that I bought at a bookstore in Camrose, Alberta. And I remember it had the cover of, I think it's drawn by, was it Andrew Skilleter? I can't remember. It was the clown costume, and I had no idea what story this was because I had never heard of it I'd never seen it on Doctor Who. And so it was a completely new adventure to me, and I just like, what is going on? Is this a thing that wasn't on TV? They're just making books about like non-TV Doctor Who as well? That'll never happen.
No, it certainly won't.
Yeah. Let's see what we got here. 1984, Eric Sayward outlines a number of additional revisions Philip Martin will need to carry out on Vengeance on Varos. Martin refuses unless he is paid an additional fee. Yes! Way to stand up.
Stick it to him, Philip Martin.
Yeah.
I just have this vision of Eric Sayward saying, "This doesn't make me feel like I hate my life. Change it."
Make it even more grim and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Jason Snell's favorite Doctor Who classic story, Vengeance on Varos.
It's not terrible. It's just unremittingly grim.
It's pretty grim.
You want to talk about cheaply made episodes? Oh.
Yeah, $3 million. $3 million for Vengeance on Varos.
$3 million. The acid patsy was $3 million on its own.
That's real acid there, people.
Yep.
I'm thinking more like the light bulbs to represent animals, but
which is canonical, shall we say? I mean, at least it's canonical. At least it's intended to be two light bulbs.
I remember watching Resurrection of the Daleks and them just having no laser effects whatsoever, just having guns light up, and me being simultaneously disappointed and delighted at the same time.
I know. Put a little laser beam on those things, damn it. Yeah.
But at the same time, this is pure cheapness. I love it.
Yep. I want to mention that tying back to the eBay auction of props taken from Roth Lock, debut broadcast February, whatever day are we on, February 9th, 2020, as I think Italy was in the throes of lockdown at that point, and we thought it was all like, wow, this is pretty awful for Italy and only Italy with this COVID-19 lockdown. Can You Hear Me was broadcast for the first time. You can own one of the prop fingers that gets stuck in people's ears from that episode for like $500 in that eBay auction if you want. Have a prop finger. I watched that recently. It was a good story, apart from the fingers going into people's ears. It's a bit silly. But who am I to complain?
Not the frog. The frog in the chair isn't silly. Okay,
frog in the chair is great because moving on. February 10th. Happy birthday, Peter Purvis. Peter Purvis, of course, played Stephen Taylor, and Morton Dill. Can't forget Morton Dill. Born February 10th, 1939. So there.
And happy birthday also to Rob Shearman.
Oh, Rob Shearman. How about that? February
1970.
Oh, nice.
1970. Writer of failed writer of Doctor Who. One story only.
Yeah, boy, he should live in shame for that, I guess.
The Eric Pringle of modern Doctor Who. One story.
Sure be thrilled to hear that.
The Glenn McCoy of modern Doctor Who.
The Glenn McCoy, yeah. Well, Eric Pringle only wrote The Awakening, so it's even shorter. It's only 2 episodes.
Half the number of episodes
of
McCoy.
Like the same
ish
screen time and everything, so. Yep.
1964.
All right.
David Whittaker is retroactively commissioned for writing Inside the Spaceship, only because retroactively commissioned sounds like something they do to you in the prisoner village.
There's like a big stamp, a needlessly wordy stamp.
Retroactively commissioned. And then some weird apparatus comes down on a rod and stares at you for an uncomfortably long time.
And wasn't it like...
Then he can be filed and indexed and the rest.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Index prefix. Yeah, wasn't it already out at that point? Like they had like, oh, by the way, since this episode's now out and broadcast, can you write it for us? Technically, okay, sure.
Yeah, it's like just getting credit for it, or that was actually me. Like,
I think there had to be some hoops to jump through because he was the story editor on Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
Technically, couldn't be writing for the show that he was story editing, blah, 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 that sort of thing. So, debut broadcast of the Web of Fear episode 2 on BBC One. That's exciting. That was the, because for the longest time, we didn't think we'd ever see that episode again, and now we have.
And we found out Enemy of the World's better, despite what Celebration told us.
Yeah. Peter Haining got things wrong. Got things wrong a little bit, but
still love the book. But yeah,
absolutely.
1972, recording for the Mutants takes place in Kent, including the Chislehurst Caves, where had plans to go to see those caves last year when I was in Britain.
Did you really? Because they were in Doctor Who, or
yes, yeah, we did a day trip with Andrew Smith, and Chislehurst Caves were on the potential agenda, but got replaced when we went elsewhere.
Please tell me that little puppet guy pops out of nowhere in one of the walls.
You're thinking of Colony in Space, Warren.
Oh, yeah. I keep mixing those two up. I don't know. I will never not mix those two up.
No, it's all right. It seems that everyone, Warren, at some point you have to go on a location tour with Andrew Smith as well. Because
I would like to. That'd be great.
Yeah, he took us to Black Park for the Full Circle location tour, as well as the Demons. We went to the Demons, Deepsham? Not Deepsham, that's the Android Vision. But
in the aforementioned 2015 London trip, I did go with our friend Simon to see the Remembrance and Resurrection of the Daleks locations.
Over at Butler's Wharf,
Yeah. That's the only reason to go to London, by the way, just to see where Doctor Who was made.
That's absolutely. Oh, and BFI, which is, of course,
Frontier in Space.
Thank you, Frontier in Space.
Yep. Mm-hmm. The brutalist cement architecture, thinking, this big bend of the London Eye over there. Yep. Look at this concrete staircase as seen in Frontier in Space. Thank you.
It took me a second to figure it out. I'm like, wait a minute. Oh, awesome.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff to see on the South Bank like that. Yeah.
There is. Yep. Quite a lot.
The 70s were a great time for car parks, too. Everybody thought a car park, for some god-awful reason, was futuristic.
Yeah. Oh, man, here is a thing that sadly has never happened in Doctor Who. 1986, February 10th, P.J. Hammond is commissioned to write Paradise 5. P.J. Hammond, of course, famous for Sapphire and Steel and a bunch of crazy, wacky stuff. He eventually wrote for Torchwood. One good episode, one not-so-good episode of Torchwood. Has never written for Doctor Who, though, sadly. Would have been a great thing.
I don't understand your dislike for Into the Rain.
It's just,
or In From the Rain, whatever.
What was it called? Into the Rain, what is it?
Into the Rain or I forget.
It had Julian Bleach in it.
The late season 2 one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
I just misread it as PJ Harvey. I'm like, PJ Harvey wrote for Doctor Who? That'd be great.
PJ Harvey.
It's just her singing.
From Out of the Rain is the...
From Out of the Rain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did not
Small
like that.
Worlds being his other one, of course.
Yeah, that was a good one. Small Worlds is a good one. I've only seen it once, though. I just remember there being a thing flying in the air at the very end, the climax of the episode, this Torchwood episode, and Yanto has to shout out in ADR dialogue what this thing is and why they have to catch it, and he had to basically say all the plot in like 2 seconds in ADR.
Sign of quality.
Yeah.
Is Torchwood still on BritBox, or am I wrong?
I think it is. I think it is on here in North America, BritBox.
Yeah, exactly. Canada essentially is.
From Out of the Rain also had Julian Bleach in it before he was Davros.
That's right, he was too, wasn't he? Yeah. Weird episode that. Didn't air on February 10th. We move on to February 11th. What happened February 11th? How many more days of this we got? Have we done
Just
7
11.
yet? Is this it?
This is it.
This is it, February 11th. Recording for the Massacre happened, Riverside Studio. The cheeriest episode of Doctor. I wonder how many lines William Hartnell had at that point. Anything else jumping out at you? February 11th? At all? Nothing at all? Scrolling through the list. I'll say one.
John Leeson comes back.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Leeson.
David Brierley has left the program. John Leeson comes back.
Yeah, he's done. J&T says we're going to write K9 out, which is honestly what we're being used to lure John Leeson back to being the voice of it. He's contracted for 8 episodes during season 18. Just said, yep, bringing it back to write you out. So there you go. And this might be it. This is Peter Davison is contracted for season 20 on February 11th, 1982. So at that point, he's probably, I think it was that point where he said, yeah, after this, I'm done. Doing one more and I'm out. So There you go.
Torchwood News,
Yep.
a cursory search of the BritBox app on my Apple TV, which is not a good app, so this could be wrong. Doesn't show up Torchwood, so maybe it's not on there anymore.
I thought it was
But
for some
again,
reason.
the app is not great, so maybe it is on there.
Well, I thought it was, Warren, but maybe I'm wrong. My memories, I have the Blu. This is why I buy things on Blu-ray, Warren, so that I'll always have them.
You can express disdain for a thing you own if you have Torchwood on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Torchwood.
Not available, according to Just Watch, on any streaming services in Canada, which is the national anthem of Canada, as we all know.
I was going to say Torchwood in its entirety is still on iPlayer.
On iPlayer. That, of course. And perhaps with classic Doctor Who to come sometime in the future.
On Disney Plus, I'd love to see
I-
first 2 seasons of
Torchwood.
That'd be a Rocket Robin Hood situation, is what that would be.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the Timelash and indeed this episode here of Radio Free Skaro. Next week, as we said, Gallifrey One preview episode where we go through all of the panels and stuff that we'd probably like to go to and probably won't be able to get to, as well as just setting the table for the wonderful time and wonderful occasion that is Gallifrey One. So join us for that next week, and then after that we'll be at Gallifrey One. 3 of us all together there for the first time in 3 years.
Insanity.
In madness, I tell you. So exciting times afoot here on this show and indeed at the LAX Marriott at Los Angeles, California. So until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro, subscribe to us on iTunes, and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.